If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new songs in the description. So Roddy Ricch just dropped Feed the Streets 3, the album that we've all been waiting for. His big album, kind of his redemption arc for Live Life Fast, and I've made a couple of videos, on this as the rollout was beginning, and during this last week where we were right in it, completely in the rollout, a lot of y'all, took those videos and kind of criticized me for criticizing Roddy. For example, I dropped a video that was titled that I am extremely worried about this new album and what it will bring, because I said that, this is his redemption arc for Live Life Fast. He did say it himself. He said, he kind of acknowledged the fact that Live Life Fast wasn't that great and said that, that the new album, Feed the Streets 3, was going to come the next year. And so in a way, he was very much aware that this album would decide a lot, would decide about the future of his career, would decide about, if fans and hip-hop would actually still consider him as the new Kendrick, leader of this new generation, whatever we want to call it. So there was a lot of weight on this album, and I think he actually delivered. And this is coming from someone that had high expectations for this. As I said, y'all can go watch the whole playlist for this thing. I've been talking about this ever since he dropped Live Life Fast. I was like, the next one gotta be the one where he takes back his respect, takes back, his kind of his status and his place in hip-hop, because Live Life Fast kind of downgraded that to just someone that got caught up in the fame and is not just rapping about money and fame and drugs and women on these boring ass beats. And I think he did change that with this new one. Now, that doesn't mean that this album is flawless, not at all, but at least it's better than Live Life Fast, and it's better than that EP he dropped, the Big 3. I think it starts off pretty well. We have Just Because, which is more of an acoustic sounding, song. The vocals on this whole thing are mixed very, very high. Like the beat is on some points almost like not recognizable. You can just hear his voice, but it fits really well. I wanted to say that as a positive. So shout out to whoever, leveled this and mastered this. I think it goes on pretty well with King Size, which is just a fun track you can throw on. The same for Heavier, even though that is a bit more shallow. Blue Cheese as well. I was worried about that one, but Blue Cheese is actually pretty hard. Also, the line about like he's hanging out with Kanye, that was pretty dope. So I did like Blue Cheese quite a bit. And then I think it goes on with, somewhat more of the stuff that I wanted to see. Favor for a Favor. Some people might say that this is just acoustic and it's not like, hitting hard, or Roddy isn't singing that much or whatever. But I thought that this was a beautiful track, and I thought that the momentum up to this point of the album was actually pretty good. And the momentum throughout the entire thing is actually pretty good. Because after Favor for Favor ends, we jump immediately into Twin, which before that, listening to it during this whole week while we were kind of talking about it, y'all heard my opinion on it, but I thought that was a pretty boring track. I thought the Durkio feature wasn't used that well, and it was more of like a kind of like a generic song that we hadn't heard, that we've heard 1,000 times before. But actually the transition from Favor for a Favor into Twin had me pretty pumped up. I was hyped when that thing came on. The same even goes for Aston Martin track that comes after it, even though I still don't like that track because it sounds so generic. But at least it didn't take away from the whole thing. Now, Get Swept and Belly of the Beast are like two songs that maybe you'll go back to and listen to them. Belly of the Beast more so than Get Swept, even though on Get Swept I did like, kind of like that more personal voice in your ear that you can hear on the hook on there, with his vocals being pretty present on every track on this whole thing, which is a good thing. I like that he focused more on that, because sometimes on Live Life Fast they kind of got lost in like the muddy low end of the 808s that was present throughout the entire thing. Like when I listen to Live Life Fast with my headphones on, it feels like I'm going deaf after some time, because just the low end is so like very present in your ear. Never really liked Stop Breathing, so it wasn't really for me. But as I said, for some reason the singles don't take away from the entire momentum of the track list. I gotta admit that in the context of the track list, the singles actually sound better than they did on their own, which is like, that is actually a pretty good compliment. Like, that is a really big compliment coming from me, someone that really appreciates sequencing and like, you know, putting together a track list and thinking about which track goes before which and after which and stuff like that. Now from here on out though, it doesn't get much more special. Fade Away is just kind of like a song that fades away. Don't really get a lot of personality out of that one. The same goes for the Ty Dolla $ign feature. I thought the feature wasn't very good. The song itself is actually pretty alright. I like Roddy's part. And on this track, I can kind of excuse it, you know, him talking just about how freaky these girls are because it's called Number One Freak. So we kind of expected that. And when you go into a track like that, you're like, okay, I can actually enjoy it now for what it is. But at least the whole album isn't like that. And that is something that I gotta say on a lot of these tracks, it's not about the fame. On a lot of these tracks, it's about some more personal stuff. It's about still some of the struggle that he's gone through, kind of reflecting on it now, not being in it, but reflecting on it, or even new struggles that arise, or like, you know, making his parents proud, stuff like that. It's just, it feels more authentic than Live Life Fast. Like this album is more, you know, true to itself. I thought the Pressure track was actually also pretty alright. It wasn't great, but it was produced very nicely. Shout out to Mustard. And Roddy also performed pretty well. No Rest was alright. And the last track, Letter to My Son, I thought that this was going to be longer. I thought that this was going to be more personal, but it's just like a normal song. I thought that this was going to be like some emotional ending to the album. I mean, there are parts on the track where you're like, okay, he's talking to his son, but all in all, I was pretty underwhelmed by that track. Also, it's just like 2 minutes, just above 2 minutes, so I was like, damn, like that actually is it. The whole album in itself is pretty short. It's under 40 minutes for 15 tracks, which is not a lot. But maybe that is the reason why the momentum is that good, because you're not too caught up on, if a track is boring, you're not too caught up on that track and you kind of move quickly through it, which in this case is actually a benefit for the album. So all in all, I'm actually pretty happy. I'm really happy with this Roddy Ricch album, but there is a catch though. There is a catch because the album in itself is not like the big redemption. It's not the masterpiece. And it's funny because he talks about not having hit his pinnacle on this record. And after listening to this, I can kind of believe that. But this album is not the pinnacle. The pinnacle is yet to come. I feel like he's saved himself. He saved himself from drowning, which is a task that I didn't think he was going to achieve, but he did. After the singles, I was sure that the whole album was just going to be like that, but he did achieve that task, and I'm like, I don't know the dude, bro, but like for some reason, just as someone like observing hip hop, I'm proud of the dude, man, for putting together an album that is actually pretty authentic and pretty dope, and not as shallow as Live Life Fast. But like what I wanted to say is that the big album still needs to come. The big album is still out there. The pinnacle is still out there for Roddy Ricch, and I hope that he hits it. I hope that the next album, and I know a lot of y'all said that, and I was always like, nah, y'all tripping, but y'all were right. The next album is the one that really decides where his place in hip-hop is. And we can just kind of, if he does deliver on the next album, we can kind of just excuse Live Life Fast as like, you know, just something that he did that wasn't that good. But this is it. Feed the Streets 3, Roddy Ricch, it finally dropped. I'm really happy with it. But what's interesting now is what you think about this. How'd you feel about this album? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? What is your favorite track? What's your least favorite track? Why did you like the album? Why did you dislike the album? Do you agree with me? Do you not? And if so, why? All your thoughts and your opinions and anything you got on this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.